It's all about truth. All of it. Every single thing. All boils down to the truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free. All right, we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast. This is Press for Truth Live. I am your host, Dan Dix. Now, I'm getting a message right away from YouTube saying you need to change the video resolution. Current resolution is not supported. Please tell me you guys can see me. It's not skipping. You can hear me. And there are no alleged problems. Hey, Gasman. Hey, Lawrence. Hi, TJ. Hello. Okay, it looks like you guys can see me. It looks like you can hear me just fine. So that's good news. I'm glad to have you guys with us today. We're going to be covering a couple of stories, 3 stories in particular. And of course, I am joined on the line by our East Coast correspondent, Leigh Stuart. Leigh, thank you so much for joining us. We've got a lot of news to cover today. And you know what? In fact, I want to show, let me see if I can pull up the screen and some of the videos we're going to be showing here. Let me just pull it up on the screen alone. So here's some of the stories we're going to be covering today, folks. And bear with us. We're going to be doing this live and then making videos out of it after the fact. So this is the first one. What if toxic masculinity is the reason for climate change? And then the second one we're going to look at is this here. Catholic schools' groundbreaking lawsuit could strike down LGBT laws across the nation. And then finally, we're going to get into this new issue right here. Montreal doctors take part in National Day of Action to combat gun violence. This, of course, is all part of the Doctors for Protection from Guns. So, Leigh, a lot to cover in this broadcast. But first of all, let's pull up this chat screen and make sure we've got everybody here joined on with us. And how have you been, Leigh? It's been a little while since we've done one of these live broadcasts.
It has been a little while. I just got back from the States. We've kind of been hit and miss with busy schedules and stuff, but I'm glad to be back here with you on Press for Truth as always. And glad to have the chat here. I always love interacting with the chat. So yeah, pretty crazy topics we're going over though today.
Yeah, I know. These are, you sent me one of the stories. I've seen a few of these. These are some of the stories that throughout the week I've been seeing, and I'm just like, oh my God, these need to be covered. So today's a perfect time. Can everybody hear Leigh? We had problems with audio one time, so we want to make sure we don't have problems with that again. Let us know. And just a heads up for today's live stream, we're going to be covering these stories, and then we're going to be kind of wrapping them up and then coming back to the chat to talk with you guys to get your thoughts on it and take your questions and your super chat questions. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We will be taking all the super chat questions and any of your questions based on our topics that we're going to be covering today. So I've got the chat here opened, and please, guys, share this on Facebook, share it on Twitter, spread it around, let people know that we are in fact live, and let us know if you have any questions before we get started.
We get the go-ahead for the audio.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, you're going to have to keep an eye on the chat for me for the most part, because I'm going to be editing and trying to do all this at the same time. Okay, so we have good audio, we have good video. That's good. And we have some crazy topics to cover today, folks. But I don't know if I want to jump into that right away. I mean, we just got here with you fine folks. Let me move this thing out of the way so I can see. All right, we have 138 people tuned in so far. That's great. Any questions? Hit us up with some questions if you have any. It's been a crazy week. Lots going on this week. So yeah, let us know if you have any questions. And then we'll jump right into these stories pretty soon enough. Leigh, so I've got the chat on the window here, and we're getting a lot of the usual, a couple of trolls, but that's fine. You're not necessarily doing good work unless you have the trolls come on. All right, we have a question. Mike wants to know thoughts on SNC. This, of course, is the Lavalin scandal. And Leigh and I have actually been talking about this off the air now for a couple of weeks. And I personally am seeing this as a huge nothing burger, folks. This seems to me like one of the biggest distraction stories of the year. It's really not a nothing burger. I'm sure there's something to the scandal, but there's so many bigger things going on. And Leigh, we were saying just the other day, it seems oddly familiar now to what we're seeing in the United States when we heard all the stories of like Mueller and Clapper and Comey and all these names, around the Russia thing, and now we're hearing Raybould and Butts, and it just seems like a huge distraction to me. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Leigh?
I'm gonna have to agree. Huge distraction. To think that any justice is gonna come from someone who's actually doing their job. I mean, let's not forget, Canadians are calling a politician a hero who advocated for Bill C-16. She was the one that actually tabled this bill, and that's the hate speech law. Also, calling someone a hero for doing their job. I mean, we're calling a politician a hero for being honest. I mean, we've come this far that now honesty is heroic in the House of Commons, where this woman is blowing the whistle and being honest. Isn't that her job? I mean,
Yeah.
Isn't she supposed to be honest as a politician? And and to expect that she wouldn't actually be kicked out of the Liberal Party is not something people should be shocked about. She turned her whole tide on her own party and ended up recording them. I mean, it's pretty sure that's illegal.
Yeah.
And to those who say they want her to cross the floor, I mean, the Conservatives aren't exactly going to trust her either. So yes, it's all a distraction. There's much bigger fish to fry. Justin Trudeau's not going to step down over this. Let's be honest. He'll probably get selected again. So
Yeah, that was my next
but
point.
yeah, like you said, also, one more last point.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of turning him into a Trump almost. Hating women, being the abuser. I've seen reports of calling Justin Trudeau an abuser. They did the same thing with Donald Trump and the grab her by the thing. I'm not gonna say because we have to censor ourselves on YouTube here,
Yep.
but it's the exact same narrative. It's turning Justin Trudeau into a woman hater, and it's gonna further the divide come election time. Women will probably get really upset that he's even going to be in office again. That's the facts. I just think he's going to get in again.
Yeah, me too. I mean, that was one of the other questions. To follow that up is this going to lead to Trudeau's removal? And I don't think so. I mean, I think
No.
It's sad to say, obviously, but I do think we're potentially going to see another Trudeau government moving forward. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why they can do this. And last time around, they pulled the cannabis card. They rode in on the legalization ticket. This time, they may go for the anti-gun legislation ticket, especially based on, incidences that are happening all over the world. They may capitalize on that to try to ensure another selection for Justin Trudeau. So we'll see. All right, let's see if we got any other questions in. How can we exit this matrix without taking our own lives? Exit the matrix. Well, one of the best ways, in my opinion, to so-called exit the matrix is just to no longer comply with it. So, and by that I mean to have nothing to do with the government, have nothing to do with the banks. You don't have to have a mortgage and a line of credit and be indebted to the bank. You don't have to go down to the voting booth and choose one of the lesser of evils. The best way to remove yourself from the system is to do just that, like take no part in it. And that's how you get outside of the matrix without killing yourself. All right, we'll see if we have any more questions, and then maybe we can jump into our first story for today, because Yeah, the first one was all about toxic masculinity causing climate change. What do you? Yeah, unbelievable. All right, we'll wait until we start talking about it until we start the video. But I don't see too many other questions, so maybe we'll jump into it now. If you want to, Leigh, we'll start this
Yep.
first. We'll start this first story, and then just a reminder, guys. We're going to cover this story, and then we're going to kind of wrap it up, and then we'll come back to the chat, and we'll get your questions about it, and so yeah. So just bear with us. I'm going to get the screen set up here so I can do the first story. It's just going to take me a sec, guys. Okay, we got that. We got that. And I'm going to switch to this. Okay. Okay, let me just make sure I know what I'm doing. See, this is the beauty of watching it all go down live. You get to see us fumble around.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen, man. It's crazy. Okay, so let me think about this, and then I'll just jump into it. Okay. There is toxicity all around us, ladies and gentlemen, but now it's apparently no longer just coming from industrial polluters, but now it's coming from the patriarchy. Yes, it is now toxic masculinity is the cause for the downfall of the green movement. This just out from Forbes magazine. What if toxic masculinity is the reason for climate change? So today we're going to be covering this story, and joining me on the line today to help me break this one down is our East Coast correspondent, Leigh Stuart. Leigh, thank you for joining us here on the line to help us break this one down. This is a story that you sent my way that when I first saw the headline, I was like, wow, have we really come to this? But I got to say, I wasn't overly surprised because of just the current climate that we're in. What was your first reaction when you saw this ridiculous headline?
It reminded me of the USA Today article that you actually covered, where white people are responsible overly for pollution. This is like the same kind of thing. This is peak feminism. This is like, the article basically states that if men are more feminine, that they'll actually be easier on the environment and make more green choices. And the two things that are made up in this article are toxic masculinity and climate change, or global warming, as they have put it. Yes, the Earth goes through cycles, but we are not to blame for the Earth going through changes. And 43% of boys are raised by single moms, and so maybe it's not really toxic masculinity that's a problem. Maybe it's the lack of masculinity that's the problem.
Yeah, good point. I mean, it's the lack of masculinity is exactly the problem. And that makes me think about the patriarchy. What exactly is wrong with the patriarchy necessarily? I mean, obviously there's times when this can be bad, but I think in everyone's life there is a moment where patriarchy is good. I mean, we all have lived under a hierarchy that is the family, essentially, and the height of that hierarchy is patriarchal. It's the father, and when we're all born, the father would do anything to make sure that we stay alive, maybe even lose his own life for hours. That's a beautiful thing. That's a good, healthy relationship. That's patriarchy, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. So it's the third wave feminist movement that has twisted this around into making masculinity toxic. So now we're bringing this into the area of climate change. So let's just see what this article says. It says, what if toxic masculinity is the reason for climate change? When a person walks out of the grocery store holding an eco-friendly canvas bag instead of a plastic bag, what gender do you think they really are? Most likely, your unconscious bias answers that they are female. This is the type of answer that Dr. Aaron Bro of Utah State University is trying to get to the bottom of through his research. Bro co-authored a paper with professors from other universities to understand how gender norms affect sustainable decision-making. They report data from 7 experiments that include over 2,000 participants from the US and China. Those are two very different demographics, by the way, so that's odd. But what they found was remarkable. They found that both men and women associated doing something good for the environment with being more feminine. And when men's gender identity was threatened, they tried to reassert their masculinity through environmentally damaging choices. The report states that men may be motivated to avoid or even oppose green behaviors in order to safeguard their gender identity. And this is where it gets crazy. This unearths a deeply held unconscious bias that Bro and the team called the green feminine stereotype. Once this unconscious bias is revealed, it has the potential to help society shift our increasingly precarious relationship with the environment for the better. If it remains hidden, it has the potential to greatly damage our environment permanently, Leigh. We are going to greatly, permanently damage our environment if we do not stop toxic masculinity and men from destroying the green movement. I mean, wow. What's your take on this? And I mean, I touched on this earlier that it feels to me like this is stemming from the third wave feminist movement. Because they've created an atmosphere of hate against men. I mean, we have a men rights movement that had to prop up because of it. Is third wave feminism leading to this view on toxic masculinity, in your opinion?
Yeah, it's in my opinion, this third wave feminism is cancer to society. It's actually, that's what's toxic. It's actually destroying, the family nucleus. It's destroying, men as we know them. I mean, I've seen guys wearing the same size jeans as me. Like, that's just like, I don't know. Our own prime minister has, come out as a feminist, and I just it's all it boils down to is turning men against women and feminizing men, and breaking down the family nucleus so that that it's nothing. But what we actually need is more masculinity. I actually don't oppose masculinity. I'm not one of these third wave feminists. I actually cheer on masculinity. I think it's very important for society to even function as a whole. So, this whole article is just, I was speechless when I read it, to be honest.
Yeah, it honestly reminds me of that brutally bad Gillette commercial. Let me just pull it up. This one, if you guys remember this one, I put this out when it came out. Gillette, the best a man can get, I titled it. And this, of course, is the commercial where, Gillette's audience is obviously largely male, and they tried to ride in on that hashtag Me Too movement and to say, look, the Me Too movement made it so that men should realize they're toxic. Like as if that, this commercial is trying to say, so you're saying what Harvey Weinstein was doing was bad? I didn't know that because I'm a toxic male. Thanks for pointing it out, Gillette. That was just brutal. Do you remember this Gillette ad? And, that was basically the focus of it, to claim that men are inherently toxic, and basically society needs to rid them of it, right?
Yeah, and it was funny because later on, photos came out of Gillette with ad campaigns, sexualizing women. So it kind of backfired in their face.
Yeah, I know. I remember thinking like it's a double standard almost, because they also have a line of razors called Venus. Explore the god, or the goddess within you, or something like that. And I started thinking, what if they did the female equivalent to this, showing females do stereotypical female things, right? Like, I don't know, shopping or washing the dishes or gossiping. And then a narrator comes in and says, hey, women, get off your high horse here. You're no goddess. They would be outraged, at something like that. But we're not seeing that. We see that happening with men. So it's brutal. And in fact, I pointed this out in this video right here. Let me show you. White privilege debunked, Ryerson University conference exposed. And this is actually, it it really ties into this because the white privilege ideology is very similar to the third wave feminist movement against men, essentially. So yes, let me show you this one once more. Check this one out, White Privilege Debunked, Ryerson University Conference Exposed. And within that, explaining the myth that is white privilege, we break it down just, what's going on with the toxic masculinity issue. So anyways, Leigh, I don't know, any final thoughts on so-called toxic masculinity in society and the need to apparently eradicate it from these third wave feminists who want to see men become like little girls?
No, like I just can't believe that this is something that we have to discuss, and I just encourage men not to believe this, like, false narrative that's being pushed on them. And I actually feel horribly because like I said earlier, we need men, and I'm not going to go hunting for a feminist if I ever need rescuing. So bottom line, just ignore headlines like this. And I'm speechless. I just don't even know.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what to say anymore either. It's getting so ridiculous. But yeah, that's why we want to bring this type of information to your attention, folks, so that you can be aware that this is in fact going on. So if you do like this video, please click the thumbs up button, share this one with your friends and family, and get the word out about the fact that this is happening. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned. We're going to have more video reports coming soon. This is Dan Dix and Leigh Stuart reporting for Press for Truth. All right. That's that one in the bag. Okay, let me head on back to the chat, and we'll see what we've been missing. Oh, wow. A lot of stuff going on in the chat. I don't know if I'm going to be able to scroll back through all these questions. Let me make sure I have the right camera. Okay. See if I can get to some of these questions. If you see anything, Leigh, too, just shout them out. I'm going to keep scrolling back until I see some question marks. But there's a lot of comments. A lot of comments. We got about 250 people tuning in. Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to share this. Let everybody know we're currently live, covering some of the latest news here in Canada and around the world. You guys don't have a whole lot of questions today. I mean, that was a pretty crazy topic. Toxic masculinity, being blamed for climate change. Anyone else find Owen Benjamin yet? Somebody says. Oh, Gasman is asking, anyone find Owen Benjamin? One of my favorite channels, next to PFT, of course. Yeah, Owen Benjamin. I mean, he does have a cool channel. He's hilarious. I like watching him. He's funny. In fact, I reached out to him. I asked him to come on my show. I want to interview him. I haven't heard back yet. I don't think he knows who I am, but I don't know. Maybe he'll get back to me. We'll see. What do you think of Owen Benjamin, Leigh?
He's pretty funny. Got some interesting takes for sure.
Yeah.
I been listening to him. I catch a few of his live streams here and there, and yeah, some funny takes. I like when he makes fun of Joe Rogan. I think that's hilarious.
Yeah, Toe Rogan.
And Ben Shapiro, Toe Rogan. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Shapiro. I haven't seen the Shapiro one yet. Actually, I saw it in the thumbnail. Is it good? Does he lay into him? Uh-oh.
It's pretty funny.
Oh, okay. I lost your audio for a sec, but then I got it back. So I think we're good. What do you think of Jordan Sather destroying the illusion? I'm not familiar with him or that. Have you heard of that, Leigh?
I missed who it was.
Jordan Sather, destroying the illusion. It's a question from the chat.
I have no idea.
Yeah, sorry, we haven't heard of that one, but shoot us a link or let us know, and I'll look at the chat later and try to check it out if we can. All right, if we don't have any too many other stories or questions coming in, then maybe we'll move on to the next crazy story. But let me just make sure I'm not missing anybody here.
What do you think about the UK struggling going out of the European Union?
Yeah, well, I should get the chat window up on the screen here so everyone can see that. No, not that one. This one. Yeah, I mean, Brexit is a major thorn in the side of the global elite who have been trying to formulate the European Union, since the 50s. I mean, I've been covering for a long time the fact that it's the Bilderberg Group who, behind the scenes, are the ones responsible for the formation of the European Union, and certainly they do not want to see, Brexit happen. So right now, I mean, as far as I know, there's another referendum or something like that. I don't know. It's so twisted. I don't think it's actually going to happen because it's not part of the plan.
Right.
There is an agenda for the EU, the NAU, an African Union, an Asian Union, and they're all going to come together into a one world government eventually. So, yeah, what are your thoughts, Leigh?
Yeah, they don't want to split anything up. They don't want individualism. They want a globalism. That's the end goal. Well, in the foreseeable future. I mean, yeah, like you mentioned, the NAU. You've been talking about that for a long time. The North American Union, and yeah, the European Union. That's definitely in the plans, and we've seen that discussed at Bilderberg time and time again. You can just see who's meeting behind closed doors. It's yeah, that's definitely on the agenda, and they're not gonna, Theresa May can hold as many referendums or many votes as she wants. It's just she's gonna wait until she has the answer she wants, right? So, yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen, to be honest.
All right, we have a question from a super chat. Thank you so much, Sean. The question is, so who are these global elites? Can you name some? Inquiring minds want to know. Well, that's an excellent question. In terms of some of the major key players that we're talking about here, one of the major names that always comes to mind for me is obviously the Rothschild banking dynasty. This is probably pretty next to the height of the peak of the pyramid. It's very quite possible there are others who we've never even heard of or never even seen in the public sphere whatsoever, who the Rothschilds answer to. But as far as I know, Rothschilds right now for me are at the peak of the pyramid, so to speak. So if you've never heard of that family, if you're not familiar with them, definitely look it up. I have some videos on my channel. If you use the search feature, you will find that. But there's a lot of other big names. I have a great book. Not here. I thought I had it with me, but it's called Bloodlines of the Illuminati by Fritz Springmeier, and he outlines the 13 families, and these are families whose bloodlines date back, centuries, some of them. So yeah, but as this guy Max says, Soros, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, yeah, there's a lot of them. But yeah, Rothschilds for me are the top of it all. Leigh, is there any names for you that come to mind? Obviously, Soros is a pretty big important one as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Rockefeller family. Soros is another big one. I follow Alexander Soros on Instagram because I like to track where he is. And I find out a lot of information about just about where he's visiting. I found out about a national security conference that he was attending that was kind of behind closed doors just over the winter time in Germany. And I was like, why is he attending a security conference discussing foreign policies? That's not someone, he's at Berkeley or was at Berkeley. Is he learning the ropes, being introduced to specific people, potentially going to be taking over the family bloodline, so to speak, because, George Soros isn't getting any younger. But yeah, it's I suggest following these people on social media just to see where they are. You can uncover a lot of truth that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I also follow him. I saw some very interesting stuff on his Instagram stories one time when he was with his dad at an event, and his dad started talking about investing in Bitcoin. And the only reason why this got out was because, a few people like myself are following his Instagram stories and who happened to catch it, and then word got out that, oh, George Soros is apparently interested in Bitcoin. Yeah, that all came out because of Alex Soros, and just following his Instagram. I put out a video probably over a year ago now, connecting George Soros to the Canadian Connection. Can't remember what I called it, but in the end of that video, we get into Alex Soros, and we show how these families, these bloodlines, often pass the torch on to the next generation, and their plans and ideas are generational. I mean, some of these guys understand that they may not see the completion of their agenda and their plan in their own lifetime, but they're still very proud to be a part of it all. And so anyways, let's see if we got any more questions in from the chat, and then maybe we'll move on to our second story for the day. But before we do, we'll just see if we have any other questions. Doesn't look like it. If you see anything, Leigh, let me know. Somebody has a lot of question marks here. That's a good way to get some attention. What does UNUM sanctum mean? I'm not sure. I haven't heard of that, Carl Fox, Sly Fox. But yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't heard of that. Have you, Leigh?
No.
All right, more things for us to look into. Thank you. Yeah, please, by all means, let us know in the chat, and we'll check it out when we get a chance. Okay. We're going to move on to our next story here. So bear with me for 1 second as I get it set up here. Let me just switch the window. There we go. As I said, this one deals with the Canadian courts essentially. And hang on, let me get this other screen ready. Again, bear with me, guys. We're trying to bang out a couple video reports that we can separate as solid pieces later, because oftentimes a lot of people don't tune into the live streams after the fact. If they don't catch it live, they don't watch them later. And we do hour-long streams with all these gold little nuggets in them. So I don't want people to miss that stuff. So let me just check and make sure. Okay, so all right, let me switch this back. Okay. All right, so I'm going to start this one off, and then we'll just bang out this report. Well, it's been a rough month in our Canadian court systems as the government has been completely overthrowing reality, essentially, in favor of transgender rights. You may recall just not long ago I put out this video here. Court rules father cannot... oh, wait. Sorry, guys. I gotta move this. I can't read my own stuff because I have a thing in front of the window. Okay, my bad. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna do this all over again. Now you get to see, folks, what it's like when you do it live. So I just jumped to the window, and there was a window of Leigh blocking everything, so I couldn't read anything. So I was like, oh no, okay, I got to start this over. All right, so bear with me, guys. This is I know this is funny for you to see. This is how it goes, though. This is what we do sometimes. Okay, let me get set up once more. All right. So I'm going to just do something similar. Let me just make sure I can actually see this before we go, because I don't want to have to stop again. Okay, now I can read that. Now I can read that. Okay, good. We're good to go. All right. Well, it has been a very rough month for the Canadian courts, as the Canadian government seems to be throwing reality out the window in support of so-called transgender rights. You guys may recall I put out this video less than a month ago. Court rules father cannot refer to 14-year-old daughter as a girl and must comply with transition. And then less than a month later, this story came out. Court orders Christian to pay $55,000 to trans politician for calling him biological male. Well, this is obviously getting worse and worse, but there is one small town in the United States that has a potentially groundbreaking, precedent-setting case that may start to turn these cases around. This, just out from PJ Media, Catholic schools' groundbreaking lawsuit could strike down LGBT laws across the nation. And joining me on the line today to help us break this one down is our good friend and East Coast correspondent, Leigh Stuart. Leigh, thanks for joining us here today. Let me pull it up on the screen here to get the article in question. You've seen some of my coverage over the last week, I'm sure. The Canadian courts have been doing things like this here. Court orders Christian to pay $55,000 to trans politician. We have this guy, the father who can't refer to his 14-year-old daughter as a girl, who must comply with its transition. Before we get into this one, what are some of the thoughts on those videos that I covered over the last few days there?
Well, we're seeing the ramifications of Bill C-16 and now Bill 89 in Ontario that were put forth by the Kathleen Wynne government, that was designed by a registered sex offender. It was tabled or helped, written up by a registered sex offender. These things are getting out of control as we expected. Calling someone by the wrong pronoun, with infinite pronouns. I mean, where do you draw the line? We have yet to find out. And this is literally clown world we're in right now, where, flooding the courts with silly stories about, people who want to play dress up. And it's ludicrous that we actually have to have these conversations here in 2019.
Yeah.
When there's more important things going on, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, we've been warning for years that this is such a slippery slope and that it's going to lead to these types of things. We pointed out years ago that if a man wants to refer to himself as a woman, or vice versa, a woman wants to refer to himself as a man, then obviously when somebody else comes along and they say they want to refer to themselves as a cat or an attack helicopter, well, then that person's going to say, well, who am I to question them? When I ask for people to accept me, who am I to question them? I need to accept that reality because I ask for people to accept my reality. And what does that lead to? LGBTQ LMNOP plus 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 plus. It goes on to infinity, and it has led to the Canadian courts literally fining people for misgendering people and using the wrong pronouns. Well, now we have. Let me just go back to the right window. We have this from PJ Media. Catholic schools' groundbreaking lawsuit could strike down LGBT laws across the nation. Now check this out. On Wednesday, Alliance Defending Freedom, the ADF, will file a powerful, groundbreaking lawsuit against a local Ohio sexual orientation, gender identity, SOGI, non-discrimination law, that's a mouthful, that some say may become the most significant religious freedom case since the Masterpiece Cake Shop versus Colorado Civil Rights Commission in 2018. This lawsuit aims to protect a small Catholic school from stifling LGBT laws that cut to the heart of the religious education. Last year, the city of South Euclid passed a SOGI ordinance similar to the Equality Act in Congress and the Ohio Fairness Act currently in the state legislature. The Lyceum, a Catholic classical school in South Euclid, will sue the city on Wednesday, claiming the SOGI ordinance violates the First Amendment. The Lyceum is a small classical Catholic school established back in 2003, but unfortunately, in 2018, the city of South Euclid passed a law that threatens the Lyceum's very existence. ADF legal counsel Christina Holcomb said in a video in the case. And here's where it gets to the crux of the matter. Religious schools like the Lyceum must be free to operate consistently with their faith without fear of unjust government punishment. That is their right under the First Amendment, she said in the statement. But the city's ordinance threatens this small school with criminal penalties simply for selecting faculty and students who share its religious convictions. The Lyceum's parents, students, and faculty have agreed to live by community standards rooted in Catholic teaching. The city's hostile regulation not only threatens the school, it also undermines the rights of parents and students who deliberately seek out this unique faith-based education. So local activists suggest that the lawsuit could rise to the Supreme Court and take down the SOG laws expanding all across the nation. So this has potential to set a precedent in the United States and to turn the clocks back on so-called transgender rights to bring people back to reality, Leigh. And it's not that we're being mean here. It's about sticking with the truth because the truth is important. So I guess first of all, what's your take on the Catholic school here in the United States actually using their religious right and their First Amendment to try to overturn some of the things that the courts are doing?
Well, yeah, this is what I'm talking about, the slippery slope, and you have also talked about, where do you draw the line? And the one thing I can suggest is it's 2019, and we're gonna have to start homeschooling our children if we want to implement certain ideologies, because we can no longer rely on schools to do it. I mean, this school is setting a precedent, but to be honest, if this was in Canada, this school would probably, be set to the, as an example of what not to do. And like I said, where do you draw the line when it comes to LGBT rights? I mean, they've been granted marriage, they've been granted equal rights as far as I'm concerned. But when it comes to our children, that should be up to the parent. And yeah, the only thing you can do nowadays is to homeschool your kids. We can no longer rely on the government like we've seen here in Ontario. Doug Ford promised that he was going to take out specific gender studies from schools, and now he's done a complete 180. So, are the courts going to see this through? I mean, the United States does have their First Amendment. And it's going to be interesting. Definitely, we'll have to keep our eye on this one to see if it does set a precedent. Clown world, like I said, 2019. This is crazy.
Yeah, and I really want to keep my eye on this one, especially because some of the issues we have here in Canada under Bill C-16, Bill 89. Guys, if you're not familiar, Bill C-16 is the one that would criminalize you for misgendering someone. Using the incorrect pronoun. So if you say he or him when they want to be referred to as a her or a she, you could be essentially thrown in prison. Then there's Bill 89. This is the one that would allow child protection service agencies to take your child away from you if you refuse to refer to your child as the preferred gender pronoun that they want to be called by. And age doesn't even matter. You could have a little 4-year-old Sally who wants to be called Billy, and if you refuse, they could show up knocking on your door and take your kid away from you. So this is why this is a potentially precedent-setting case, because it needs to hopefully overturn all this kind of nonsense that we're seeing. Do you think, Leigh, that it's possible to undo what Bill C-16 has done? But I mean, I guess it could be argued that Bill C-16 is already accomplished doing the damage in the minds of the masses, but is it possible that this could be a precedent-setting case in the United States, set a ripple effect around the world, and maybe the Canadian courts would start to rethink things like Bill C-16 and Bill 89?
I hope that there are still, judges that would uphold things like sanity and the fact that there are only two genders. I mean, I go to the doctor's office and, when you check, are you male or female? There's government documents. There's no infinite numbers of genders that you can tick off. I think it's just recently they've made it that on your birth certificate, you can now pick a different gender here in Canada. But yeah, I'd hope that there are still judges in the court system that see through this and would go against maybe what Bill C-16 has to offer or not offer. Do you know what I mean? Like this is where do you draw the line? Like I said, this is just something that I keep coming back to. It's infinite genders, and if you call someone a cat when they're a dog, I mean, where do you go?
Yeah, well, it goes to absolute insanity, to the point where Christians are being fined $55,000 for simply speaking the truth. I guess in closing, we'll wrap it up with this paragraph here, which I thought was interesting. It says, many non-Christians agree with Christians that biological sex is truer than gender identity. A man does not become a woman by declaring himself to be one, dressing up as one, or even getting hormones and surgery to look like one. God made them male and female, and genetics reveal that they are either XX or XY. SOG laws effectively outlaw dissent on LGBT issues, and the freedom of speech and the free exercise of religion are central to the First Amendment. This groundbreaking lawsuit may change the rules of the game on these important issues, cementing First Amendment freedoms beyond dispute. And I certainly really, really do hope that is the case. So this is something I wanted to bring to your attention today, ladies and gentlemen. Please click the thumbs up button and share this one. And of course, if you do appreciate our efforts here at Press for Truth, check us out at pressfortruth.ca/donate, where you can contribute a one-time donation or chip in Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies or join as a member. But again, the best ways to support this show is just to, oops, I didn't switch it over. I had it on the wrong screen. Anyways, the best way to support this show is just to click the thumbs up button and share the video with your friends and family. Anyways, that's all for today, guys. I want to thank you once for tuning in. Leigh, I want to thank you again for joining us today to help break this down. Again, click the thumbs up button, guys. Share this video and stay tuned. We're going to have more video reports coming soon. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth. All right.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, I totally messed up the screens there, but whatever. So while I was trying to show some of the things, it was on you and me, like it is right now. So whatever, that's going to be a little bit awkward. Let's go on back to the chat.
You can edit that out later, though.
Yeah, I can just edit that later. Not for the live chat, though. You know what's weird? The live chat hasn't budged. It's been 257 people watching this whole time. It hasn't switched from 257 people. Let me go back to the chat window so you guys can watch that while we do that. All right, so and Leigh, you're watching the watch window. How many thumbs up does it have right now?
201.
That doesn't add up. There's 247 people watching. Come on, guys, click that thumbs up button. Only 200 of you and 240 people watching. You got to click that thumbs up button. Help us with the YouTube's algorithms. You know we're being heavily shadow banned. This channel is not getting the views that it should be. We have nearly 250,000 subscribers, and we have, 250 people tuning in? It doesn't make sense. So we need your help to help get the word out about Press for Truth, because they're silencing us. All right, I'm gonna scroll.
Yeah, we set a few trigger words as well.
Oh God,
we set a few of the trigger words that make the algorithm kick in. So
no doubt. Well, that's an interesting point. Is that they're now in real time having algorithms monitor the audio so that they can pull things in real time. In fact, they're even apparently pulling stuff from live chats. I haven't had that have that happen in my chat yet here, but I would not be surprised if you guys start seeing your comments just disappear from the comments section, because there are algorithms that are beginning to do that now. So watch out for that. And don't accuse me of deleting your comment, because people always say that, you deleted my comment, but I never delete people's comments. Karen Keener.
Yeah, it's YouTube that actually deletes them.
Karen Keener asks, are you guys going to cover Rockland County's hostage crisis? Day 8, healthy family trapped in their homes. Is this not news? No, I guess it hasn't been big news. I'm not super familiar with that. Rockland hostage crisis. Have you heard about this, Leigh?
Not a word.
No, me neither. Obviously, there's a lack of coverage then. If it's day 8 of people being held hostage, that's crazy. Where was that? We'll look into that. Rockland County. Thanks for the heads up, Karen. All right, I'm going to scroll through and look for some more question marks. I got to scroll way up because we were just doing a video for like 10 minutes, so there's probably a lot of things we missed. Bear with me, guys. I'm just trying to get to all the comments and questions that we missed here. That's the beauty of going live. Again, please share this one. We still, according to my numbers, only have 247 people watching. It's been the exact same number pretty much since we started. So that seems kind of fishy to me. So please share the link, let people know we're live, and we're going to get into our third and final story pretty soon here, and then we'll come back to chat with you guys and wrap it all up. But I don't think we have any new questions.
Okay, I see. Karen says the Rockland County thing is about the unvaccinated kids being held in their home. I did see something about that happening in Arizona, where the police came knocking on the family's door because their child had a temperature or something like that and was unvaccinated. So they ended up taking the child from the home. And now I know that New York State has passed a law in one of the counties, not sure which one exactly, but like no children can enter the county without being vaccinated. So
yeah,
we're literally seeing police coming, knocking on your door, papers, please.
Yeah.
Literally Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the case with that
vaccination.
In the case with the little kid, I mean, he had a fever, running 105, I think, when the mother took him to a neuropathic medicine facility, and that doctor, upon learning that the boy was unvaccinated, decided that it's possible that he has meningitis and suggested that the mom take the boy to the hospital. And then when the mom left the doctor's office, the kid all of a sudden was doing way better. He started laughing, playing with his siblings. They took his temperature again, and it was down to 100. It was back down to like kind of normal levels. So she didn't take them to the hospital. And then the hospital calls the doctor saying, we didn't see the boy that you said was coming. And so the doctor called the police saying, we're hoping you can look up on this 2-year-old boy who was supposed to be to the hospital. Long story short, the police they bang down these people's door in the middle of the night and take 3 of their children. And we know this is all surrounding the unvaccination hype that's going around the world. And just a brutal story. In fact, I covered that one a couple of days ago. Just check my channel, Karen. I did do a video about that. I think it was just a couple of days ago. So yeah, check that one out. I don't recall what it was called, but yeah, give that one a watch. All right, let's go back to the chat real quick. See if we have any more questions, and then we'll move on. Pharma is being vac and trans PFT. What? Maria says pharma is behind vac and trans agenda. PFT, do you agree? Yeah, big pharma is definitely heavily steeped in carrying out vaccinations. I mean, I exposed that in one video in particular, where there was a family where the baby got the measles and the mother claimed it was because of other unvaccinated kids. And I exposed the fact that this mother had ties to big pharma, and it was all set up. Yeah, absolutely. Mara, pharma is behind vac for sure. I don't know about if they're behind.
It's so funny, like
Mhm.
The comparison that I actually saw a meme and it was really funny. It was like comparing vaccines to somebody else like wearing deodorant. So it was like if someone else is wearing deodorant, if you're not wearing deodorant, I'm gonna catch your like BO. If you're not wearing deodorant, I'm gonna catch your BO. It's like
My
it's
God.
so stupid. It's literally so stupid. And like the fact that the government is enforcing this is absolutely crazy. What if it's against your religion to vaccinate?
Yeah, yeah, really, yeah, really. I mean, when are they going to do away with the religious exemption? Probably soon. Um,
Probably.
Matt D asks, "Come on, Dan, you're Canadian. Opinions on Jordan Peterson?" I like Peterson. Let me switch the screen. Yeah, I've don't have any real issues with the man. I've seen a lot of his talks, I've seen a lot of his interviews, and I've gained a lot of insight and learned a lot of things. And I think he's a very, very bright intellectual, and he's a smart guy, and he's influencing people to make themselves better people. There's questionable things that people have brought up, but you got to understand what's happening to him is a phenomenon. The man's being thrown into a whirlwind of, just fame and attention, and getting requests from left, right, and center for everybody wanting a piece of this man. So, is it possible he's taken the odd job here and there that he wasn't too sure what it would lead to? Sure, but I don't think the guy has done anything out of ill intention. I think he's a good guy. I think he's a smart guy, and I like Peterson. Leigh, what's your views on Jordan Peterson?
Um, I don't really have a lot of time, but I will say that I don't agree with everything Jordan B. Peterson says. I have a little bit of issue with him banning Faith Goldie from a free speech event. And I don't agree with everything he talks about or has been saying as of recent. And but I will bring to attention, and it is concerning, no matter who it is, whether you agree with them or not agree with them, when their literature is being banned out of certain countries. That's what I have a problem with, whether I agree or disagree, because we've seen the same thing happen with Alex Jones, and now people being banned from countries, and their books being banned from countries. I that I don't agree with. I don't have to agree with everything he talks about, but at the end of the day, I am a free speech advocate, so I believe that free speech is definitely important. And what's happening to him is pretty crazy.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think it's still worth paying attention, seeing where this goes, because it's interesting how he's being demonized by the mainstream media. Anyways, I'm glad people are still remaining healthily skeptical of him, as you should be. But it's interesting that the mainstream is really cracking down on him lately. All right, one more. Let me jump back to the chat window. I see a big question mark. Let me switch that over. Leigh, Dan, question, PFT. Any comments on why even Fox in a report would not show or comment on Biden touching kids' breasts? Yeah, man. The Biden
Oh,
thing. Wow, that's yeah. So the question is, why is Fox in a report not showing or commenting on it? Well, because the mainstream media is controlled, and that's not a part of their particular narrative that they want to push at this particular time. But the evidence is beyond debatable. I mean, the amount of videos out there of creepy Joe is just creepy. I mean, have you guys seen them all? Leigh, have you seen? I'm sure you've seen it. This has been going on for like I think a couple of years. These videos have been coming out. So really, the mainstream media is kind of falling behind on this one. What was your name there in the chat? Bernard. Mainstream media is falling way behind on this one. What are your thoughts, Leigh?
yeah, this is kind of like old news. We've kind of been talking about this for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
He's been known as creepy Uncle Joe for quite a while now. There's compilation videos of him at specific events when he was the vice president, sniffing little girls' hair, touching them on the shoulders, and parents being like, stop touching my kid, or I'm not surprised that 4 women have come forward and complaining about him being creepy or touching them inappropriately. There's a whole bunch of memes coming out, and they're pretty accurate, because he's been known as Creepy Joe for a long time. And I mean, at least we're finally kind of seeing it being brought to light, and yeah, hopefully he'll be accountable for his actions. He's Creepy Joe. It's in his name.
Okay, I'm just trying to, apparently Trump tweeted something today. Trump posts doctored video mocking Joe Biden's personal space statement. I just saw that on my Twitter, so that's pretty funny. I should try to pull that up on the screen. But yeah, Trump is posting memes now of Biden like kissing himself. That's hilarious. Okay, let's see if we got any other things in the chat, and then we'll move on to our final story of the day. Let me scroll back. Q will save us all, don't worry, says Extremists. I wouldn't necessarily count on that, my friend. Q is not to be trusted, in my opinion. That's a whole nother can of worms we could open, but I don't know if we want to get into that. All right, not seeing a whole lot of other stuff. What is this? Do you know about AI globalist agenda pushing author and influencer Amy Webb? No one is criticizing her at all. She'll be in Toronto soon. No, I'm not familiar about that. No, I'm not. Have you heard of that, Leigh? Amy Webb?
Briefly. Yep. I'm just trying to look if she was at Bilderberg.
Speaking of that, Old Dirts asks, Bilderberg, question mark? I'm definitely planning on going this year. You know, I've gone every year since 2012. My first one was in 06, and then I've went consecutively since 2012, and then I missed 2013, and then consecutively since 2014. But I plan on being there. However, I am supposed to speak at the Red Pill Expo this year, and that's from June 7th to June 9th. I'm scheduled to speak at the Red Pill Expo, so I really hope Bilderberg doesn't overlap with that conference, because I want to be able to cover both events. But let's go back to the chat, and if we don't have any other questions, then we'll jump into our final story of the day. And I think, yeah, we'll do that, and then we'll come back to the chats later. So bear with me for 1 second, as I'm going to get the screen set up for our next video. There we go. There we go. That looks good. Okay, so again, if you're just tuning in to the live broadcast, we're going to be doing a separate little video report here that we can separate into its own separate video to be uploaded later, because a lot of times people don't tune into these live streams after the fact, so we want to make sure you guys get all the goods. So let me get this ready to go. Give me 1 sec. Okay, we got that. We got this. Hang on. I'm going to go back to Leigh for 1 second so I don't give away all my stuff. Okay, here we go. All right, I think I'm ready. Hopefully we can nail this one this time. Okay, you ready, Leigh?
Ready.
All right. Okay. Uh-oh. Tony, you just sit, bud. Dog's acting up now. Okay, let's just do this. I jotted down some notes in case anybody's wondering what I'm doing here. I'm like trying to remember how I wanted to start this thing, and then we'll just wing it. That's how we do. Okay. Okay. Canadian gun laws are about to be thoroughly examined as there is... Oh, sorry. Okay, buddy. Do you guys want to see? Let me show you really quick what I'm dealing with here. This poor little guy has a cone.
Oh no, he is a conehead.
Yeah, my poor little puppy has recently been neutered, and he's struggling right now with this cone. So hopefully he'll chill out and just lie down. I think he's gonna be okay. He just wants some attention. All right, let's do this. And then I got this guy over here, Kaiser, just chilling. All right, okay, sorry guys, sorry everyone watching in the live. You're like, hey, what the heck is going on here? All right,
never apologize for showing dogs.
Yeah, true. It's too Canadian of me. Okay. Well, Canadian gun laws are about to be thoroughly examined as there's now a movement of doctors who are calling for an all-out ban on guns and assault rifles in Canada. This is just out from the Doctors for Protection from Guns. We make our families and communities safer. Say yes to a ban on handguns and assault weapons. And we're also going to cover this article right here. Montreal doctors take part in National Day of Action to combat gun violence. And joining me on the line today to help us break all this down is our East Coast correspondent, Leigh Stuart. Leigh, thanks for joining us today. Crazy stuff going on in the news in terms of Canadian gun laws. This is all leading to Bill C-71, and we're going to get into that. But let me first just briefly, here, let me put the screen up so everyone can see it. Let's take a look at what this actually is all about. This is just out from the Doctors for Protection from Guns. It says here, as first-hand witnesses to the emotional and physical trauma and devastation caused by guns, doctors and other health professionals are coming together to call for a public health focus to the debate around guns and a comprehensive public policy response to this crisis in our communities. Canadian Doctors for Protection from Guns is holding a National Day of Action on April 3rd in 13 cities across the country from coast to coast, in large centers and small communities, who call for stronger gun laws. Specifically, the grassroots group, comprised of trauma surgeons, emergency room physicians, pediatricians, psychologists, nurses, paramedics, and other health professionals, is urging the federal government to pass Bill C-71, an act to amend certain acts and regulations in relation to firearms and to implement a handgun and assault weapons ban. So, Leigh, right off the top, what's your initial reaction to Canadian doctors uniting together to combat this gun issue, and what do you think this is stemming from? Why now, basically?
Well, it is an election year. You say, why now? They've got a limited time to, for Justin Trudeau to hop on the coattails of this to make it his next election promise, because we know liberals don't like guns. So what I'm going to say here is that their national rally against guns, like I mentioned, was yesterday, and I did touch on this in the last video I did on Press for Truth. I mentioned the surgeon who created this group, who is rallying against guns for a complete gun ban, Najma Ahmed, who actually was one of the surgeons who operated on one of the Danforth shooting victims. She's kind of leading the way of this gun ban, and they were all across all across Canada. The most prominent turnout was in Toronto. They all showed up in their lab coats, and were invited in by John Tory to discuss policies. And I've even seen John Tory do a complete 180, because while he was campaigning, he said that he wasn't going to ban guns. But now it's kind of, him and Bill Blair are hinting at working together and potentially passing this ban. And to use a profession to pass a law is absolutely insane. It's kind of like, veterinarians against boats, where you would have, some veterinarians might have boats, but would they use their profession to pass a law against boaters? I mean, some veterinarians might have boats, but they're not going to use their profession to pass a law for safer boating.
Yeah.
There's been no history ever to suggest that a complete gun ban would actually solve crime, because, listen, criminals do not obey gun laws. They never have. They never have obeyed laws. That's what makes them criminals. And to suggest that a gun ban would help that, I mean, I think people have, the right to protect themselves. And this attacks no one other than law-abiding registered gun owners. So this whole thing is absolutely ridiculous. And like they did in the States with Parkland, they're using the Danforth shooting victims as pawns, basically, to pass a law. You never want a good crisis to go to waste, as who was it that said that? Rahm Emanuel.
Well, let's take a look at this law that they actually want to pass, because Bill C-71 is really has nothing to do with going after gang members, and it really has everything to do with making it more difficult for law-abiding Canadian gun owners to do what it is they need to do. So let me just briefly break it down for you guys, what it is like today for somebody to obtain a gun in Canada. Did you know that you have to apply for a license? You have to inform them of your conjugal partners over the last 2 years. You have to have a written statement from your spouse if you have one. All of these people will be interviewed, mind you. And if Bill C-71 passes, these law-abiding, heavily vetted Canadian citizens are going to have to do things like notify the police and get a written permission slip, basically, anytime they want to even service their weapon. If they want to take their gun to a gun shop, they would have to go through this big process. It's just absolutely saying what the bill is actually pushing for, and it seems to be really cracking down on law-abiding gun owners in Canada, as opposed to going after gangs and things of that nature. And we just had not long ago, Leigh, here in Canada, a knife attack, at a church in Ottawa. Why aren't they calling for knife banning? And I'm not suggesting they do that, but it just goes to show the hypocrisy that's going on here. So let me just get right into this article here from Montreal doctors want to get in on this now. So let me just read to you from that. Montreal doctors take part in National Day of Action to combat gun violence. So here it says, a group representing doctors and other healthcare workers in favor of stronger gun laws is planning a series of rallies in cities across Canada. Canadian Doctors for Protection from Guns is planning events in Toronto, Montreal, Canada, Calgary, Ottawa, St. John's, as well as discussion from forums and information sessions in other cities. Okay, we already know all that. Here we go. Participants are calling on the federal government to pass its gun control legislation, Bill C-71, which is currently before the Senate. The group also wants to see a national ban on private ownership of handguns and assault rifles, something Bill C-71 does not include. So they want to take it a step further, Leigh, and even crack down on Canadians' rights to self-preservation even more. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on the clampdown on Canadians' rights to protect themselves, and the fact that it's coming from the medical establishment who are considering this a health issue?
Yeah, they've actually called it a health crisis, I believe. They're blaming it. They've labeled it a health crisis. I think, like I said, everyone has the right to protect themselves from criminals. It's not the law-abiding citizens that are carrying out these attacks. I know registered gun owners, and they won't get even a speeding ticket because they're afraid of losing their gun license. Laws that are being passed, this isn't going to help any sort of criminals that are going to be using a gun. I mean, the Danforth shooting was not done by a registered gun owner. I think it was traced back to a gun from the United States, if I remember correctly, and it was the shooter's brother who had compiled carfentanil and a series of different variety of guns that were snuck over the border. So, it's not law-abiding citizens that are carrying out these attacks. And like you mentioned, the knife attack that happened in Montreal. What is it going to come down to? I mean, we are seeing in the UK them talking about banning knives. How far do you go? That's another slippery slope. Are you going to ban vans once enough car accidents happen? The vans of peace that are killing people in cafes along in France. It's just it's absolutely ridiculous to use a profession to pass a law that you don't necessarily know anything about. I mean, doctors write prescriptions for fentanyl, which is, there's an opioid crisis that are killing thousands of people. They should be focusing on that rather than laws to ban guns. It's absolutely ridiculous.
In fact, it's the opposite. More guns are going to save more lives. I mean, these doctors talk about it like, oh, we see the trauma, we see the patients coming in, therefore, this is gun-related violence. Well, how do we get them to understand that if there's more guns in the hands of the people out here, you're going to see less patients coming in because people are going to be less likely to engage in criminal activity if everybody is armed? I mean, it seems obvious to me that they should be able to see that, but clearly they don't. Now, I happen to wonder if there's any connection to the New Zealand shooting. I mean, this was very recent, and that was a crazy event. It was broadcasted live on Facebook, and it wasn't that long ago that happened, and it seems that this doctor thing may have come out of something like that. Do you think they're kind of riding in on that? To me, that's why this popped up now. Not only that, but because we have Bill C-71 coming down the road very soon. Does it seem like they're kind of riding in on what just happened in New Zealand?
Absolutely. That's exactly what the manifesto stated. There were certain goals that were to be carried out as a result of this. And like I said, they never let a good crisis go to waste. And when the government sees an opportunity, we've been seeing this in the States, the government trying to, use specific narratives to push things along, and definitely disarming the people is one of them, because that's along the road to tyranny. And what we're seeing here in Canada, we already have strict laws that are put in place, and when we see it on a global scale is a bit concerning. We've seen what happened in Venezuela once they handed in their guns. We're seeing it now in New Zealand. People turning in their guns. We know what comes after that, and it's not pretty. So I encourage people to keep your registered gun owners to keep your guns close, and don't go down unless they're prying them out of your cold dead hands, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because yeah.
Well said. Actually, you covered this well in your latest video on specifically Bill C-71. I want to point people to right here. Canadian gun laws and Bill C-71 update. This isn't looking good, and you give the breakdown of the latest on Bill C-71. We also have this one where I cover it. This was one where I do 3 different stories. So the third story is rejecting Bill C-71, lock, stock, and barrel. Actually, side note, folks, you may notice here the thumbnail. There's a picture of a gun. But then when I actually put out the video, I switched it out for a picture of the document of Bill C-71. That's because at the time, YouTube was removing any video that had any image of a gun in the thumbnail or any mention of gun in the title of the video. Channels were being deleted left, right, and center. And so just as a precaution, I removed the image from the thumbnail. But that just goes to show how crazy this is getting. But I wanted to point this to you. We will have links to both of these videos in the description below because Leigh and I have been covering this for quite some time. And, I do want to get a follow-up with Rod Giltaca. He is the head of the CC, what is it, the lead, the CCFR, Canadian Coalition for
The
Firearm.
Canadian Coalition for Firearm Rights. Yeah.
Right. And
they're actually doing great work. They're doing great work exposing, this agenda, and they have some great facts on their website. If you visit they are also on Facebook, on Twitter. They have been laying out the facts regarding gun statistics and how that, just pointing out the fallacies in the arguments from these doctors and how important it is for registered gun owners to keep fighting back against Bill C-71. I hope you do get that interview with Rod Giltucka. He's a great guy. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely going to work on that. It's going to be a good follow-up. I interviewed him a few years ago about all of this, and he essentially laid it out, and it's all coming true. It's all coming to fruition, everything we said in that video 2 years ago. So I will get him back on for a follow-up. But as for today, folks, that's it for today. We just wanted to bring this information to your attention, the fact that these doctors are rallying here in Canada to get behind the gun issue. It's not looking good, and it's not looking good for Bill C-71 moving forward. We need to defeat that bill. We got to stop it in its tracks. Check the links in the description for all the sources to this video. And I want to thank you for watching. Thank you, Leigh, our East Coast correspondent, for tuning in to help us break this down. And stay tuned, my friends. We're going to have more video reports coming soon. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth. Okay. Another one in the bag.
Sweet.
I hope we didn't leave anything out that we wanted to mention. Sometimes, when you wing it like that, we're like, did we cover all the points we wanted to say? I think we did. But here, let me pull up the chat again, and we'll go back and see all the awesome questions and comments we've been missing. Give me 1 sec, guys. Bear with me. All right. Whoa. Okay. A lot of questions scrolling through. All right. We have a super chat. Thank you so much, Gamaliel Freeman. My question is, how can these airplane pilots spray this filth, not just on us, but themselves, without any questions whatsoever? How the people see this as normal, it's very disheartening. Well, if you are referring to chemtrails, well, I happen to think, for the most part, a lot of the times, these pilots are not necessarily aware, or they are completely deceived into what it actually is. So I think it's compartmentalized. Sorry, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, but I think it's compartmentalized within aviation, so that the people who are actually carrying out the spraying are not aware that it's happening. That's the only way that this could possibly work. I mean, obviously, every pilot could not be in on this. So it's compartmentalization, to answer your question. Thank you so much for the question. I'm going to go back. If you have any thoughts on that, Leigh, I'm going to scroll through and see if we have any other questions as well.
It's like I always compare it to the pyramid effect, where only so many people know about what's going on, the higher ups, and then it kind of trickles down where they're kind of left in the dark. It's like the different degrees of Freemasons. Not everyone's enlightened about what's going on. A lot of people are kept in the dark. So I think it's probably along the same lines as that. I'm just totally guessing, but I would think that not all these people know exactly what's going on. So, because if they did, they probably wouldn't do it, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, as I said, it's the only way that it could possibly work, is to have everybody kind of somewhat in the dark. Great analogy. The various degrees of Freemasonry. In Freemasonry, the first 3 degrees are called the outer porticle, or the blue degrees. You become a master mason at that level, but what you're not told is that the true meanings behind the symbols that you learn in those 3 degrees, they're revealed to the adepts, they call them, later down the line. So it's compartmentalization. You don't really know what's going on until you're at the top of the thing. Just like in finance, we have a problem with the banking dynasty, the Rothschilds, and this, fiat banking. Does that mean you should go into your bank and yell at the teller? No. She she doesn't have anything to do with it. Just like the pilots, they're kind of being used as pawns, in my opinion. All right, I'm going to quickly scroll through and see if we have any other questions, but I don't think so. We've been going for an hour and a half, so might be a good time to wrap it up. PFT, why don't you guys interview TruthStream Media? That would be a cool conversation. Yeah, love TruthStream Media, big fan of them. They like my videos. They watch my stuff all the time. I've interviewed Aaron Dykes a bunch of times. And I've had him on the show, actually, Terry, since they've launched TruthStream Media. So just use the search feature on my YouTube channel and type in Aaron Dykes, and you'll find our interview. God, I'm just remembering what people were saying from
shout out to TruthStream Media. They do great work. Absolutely. Their videos are awesome.
Mm-hmm. People kept saying, oh, Dicks and Dykes together at last. Yeah, that's what happens.
Dicks.
That's what happens when I interview Aaron Dykes. Anyways, all right. But yeah, love those guys. Solid content. Yeah, they're great. All right, I'm not seeing too many other questions. Hey, what are we actually going to do about the government trying to disarm the population? Well, I think at this stage in the game, the whole world, awareness is still key. I mean, a lot of people don't even know that that's a part of the agenda and that this is coming down the road for Canadians. And secondly, you know, arm up. You know, it's time to tell people that, you know, now's the time to take arms, because look, if Bill C-71 passes, which it's looking likely that it probably will, they're going to come after the guns. Yeah, arm yourself now. Continue to raise education about the fact that Bill C-71 is coming. Yeah, did you have something to add, Leigh?
Right. Like the Second Amendment. Yeah, the Second Amendment in the United States is there for a reason, and it was not to protect themselves from criminals. It was to protect themselves from their own government. So the same goes for here. I mean, I'm not going to suggest anything, but it wouldn't necessarily be a bad idea not to even register your guns. I mean, I'm just going to say that. I'm just going to. People in the United States don't register their guns. I just learned that. I didn't even know that was a thing. I'm so behind on my U.S. Policies and stuff like that. I've been concentrating on Canadian content so much that I found out Missouri, the police won't even side with the government in taking citizens' guns away. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
it's always great.
There's people in the States that don't even have their guns registered. So.
I'm still seeing that there's exactly the same number, 247 people watching. That can't be right. It can't not have changed one up or down in the last hour. How many do you see that are tuned in right now?
I see 175 right
175. Now. Okay, so obviously my numbers are incorrect. Guys, we are being heavily shadow banned here on YouTube. Please share this video, and moving forward, click the like button when you watch our videos. It really does help with the algorithms, and also share them. Share them on Twitter, Facebook. Spread the word. You know, we've got around 230,000 subscribers, and we only get a couple thousand views per video. It doesn't make sense. We need your help in order to spread this information, because YouTube certainly isn't helping us. All right.
We've definitely mentioned a few of the words, like talking about a lot of the big no-nos on YouTube. Like you mentioned guns and LGBT,
trans rights,
transphobic rights, and
guns,
toxic masculinity.
Patriarchy.
I'm sure it's done something to the algorithms. So.
SJWs. Yeah, these are all trigger words.
We were listing like Soros and
we were
listing all the powers that shouldn't be names. I mean,
yeah, I can pretty much guarantee you this live stream is gonna certainly be demonetized and maybe even shadow banned and deleted. Yeah. Guys, this is all the more reason why you need to join us on the more decentralized platforms and blockchain-based platforms. You know, this is why I moved on over to BitChute and Minds.com, Steemit.com, DTube, PocketNet. There's a bunch of them, and it's important that we diversify our video sharing platform portfolios, because we know they're going to eventually crack down on us here. And I don't want you guys to all of a sudden one day be like, hey, I haven't seen much from Press for Truth anymore. I wonder where those guys are. If I disappear from YouTube, guys, I'm going to be on BitChute, I'm going to be on Minds, I'm going to be on DTube, and I'm going to want you guys to be there as well. So please make sure you are following me on those links. They are located in the description below. It's really important moving forward. This is a hedge for independent media to protect ourselves from censorship. And also, we have a newsletter that you can subscribe to, so that I don't really send out newsletters, but what I'm really doing with it is collecting your emails so I can contact you individually and send out a mass blast email to tell everybody where I am should they ever remove me from this platform. So definitely check the links in the description below for that. Also, I'm going to throw it up here while I'm here. Why not? Because the crypto is booming right now, and I have a link to my... Where is it? Here. Ta-da! There. If you scan that, you can contribute Bitcoin as well. Yeah, that would be greatly appreciated. But other than that, Leigh, I think we may be done. Guys, contribute to Leigh's efforts as well. I don't know if you know, she just went to an event that Dabby was putting on, which is pretty cool. And the travel expenses, that all adds up. We know there's going to be a lot of events you're going to be covering, for PFT in the summer. And, we're doing as much as we can, but we need you guys to help out as well. So, Leigh, give them out your links to where they can contribute to you. I know you have a PayPal, but just shoot out the specific links so everybody can know where they can contribute to you specifically.
Yeah, if you guys have Twitter, you can find me at Leigh Stewie. I'll put it in the chat so you guys can just copy and paste it into Twitter, and in my or you can click on my channel name here. You can find my PayPal link in the About section on my YouTube About section, and the link to my PayPal is also on my Twitter as well. I think it's paypal.me/Leigh Stewie, and anything's gonna help. It's an election year, so there's gonna be a lot going on. I know there's another rally come May 4th, I think it is. It's gonna be pretty interesting. We saw huge clashes in Toronto about a month ago, where even the media was like, I'm not so afraid of these racists as they've been labeled. I'm more afraid of the anti-hate people who were actually attacking journalists and calling out police, calling them names and stuff like that. So this summer is going to be a doozy. Like I said, election year. Tensions are pretty high right now, and the warmer weather is going to bring out some interesting folks. So it should be interesting for sure.
Totally. Yeah. And I'm going to be, doing some traveling. I'm speaking at Red Pill Expo. I'm going to be covering Bilderberg. I'm going to be speaking at Anarchadelphia, it's called, in Philadelphia in September. So we got a number of things coming up in the near future. So guys, once again, if you do support our efforts here, check the links in the description. We're going to have links to where you can contribute to Leigh, where you can contribute to our efforts collectively, and please do so. Also, click the like button and share these videos that we're going to be releasing in the next days that we did today, because this is important information. We need your help to get it out there. But I think that's it for me, Leigh, unless there's any other questions from the chat, or if you have any other final thoughts. But we've been going for about an hour and a half, and I think it's time to wrap it up, unless you got anything else.
No, not really. Just excited for summer and like getting out and doing things.
Yeah, I know.
Been stuck inside. It's been a long winter. Can't wait to get out and do some stuff. And you'll definitely have to come to Ontario, and we'll have to do some street action, some old school street action, and some interviews at Dundas Square.
Totally. Those are some of my favorite videos to do, not so much to edit. It's a lot of work to edit those ones and to do, but I love watching them. I love creating them, and I know people enjoy the streeter videos as well. My least favorite aspect of it is just stopping people in the street to ask them, and then they just ignore you and walk by, and it's like, oh man, I feel like I'm soliciting or bothering you, but but anyways, you got to do it, right? And you get
That's why you gotta wear something controversial. So I'll wear my Make Justin Trudeau a Drama Teacher again. We'll just let the people come to us.
I've pulled tricky ones, man. I used to bring my girlfriend, and she would be dressed up all pretty and looking, pretty hot, and she would approach people and say, "Hi, can we get an interview with you?" And then they'd be like, "Yeah, sure." And then she'd bring them over and be like, "Yeah, here's the guy who's going to be interviewing you." And then step back, and they're like, "Oh, what? You're not interviewing me?" We pull a bait and switch. But hey, you do what you got to do. Anyways, yes, we will be trying to do some more of those in Ontario in the very near future. But anyways, I guess we'll wrap it up. I want to thank everybody so much for tuning in. Thank you guys for the super chats. Thank you for your great questions. Stay tuned for these video reports we're going to have coming out over the next couple of days. Yeah, that's all for today. Glad to have you here with us. Thanks again, Leigh, for joining us. And take care, everybody. We'll see you next time.
See you later.